Here's something wild. Websites are losing up to 70% of their traffic from simple technical mistakes that take minutes to fix. And it's not even complicated algorithm changes causing it.
That's fascinating because most people immediately blame Google updates when their traffic drops. What's really going on here?
Well, it comes down to these schema markup errors that I keep seeing across hundreds of site audits. Think of schema like a translation guide for search engines. When it's wrong, Google basically can't read your content properly.
Hmm. Could you give us a specific example of how this plays out?
So here's a perfect case. I recently worked with a food blog that was using product schema for all their recipe posts. They thought, well, recipes are products, right? But to Google, that's like speaking French to someone who only understands Spanish.
Oh, wow. So, what happened to their visibility in search results?
Their rich snippets completely vanished. You know those beautiful recipe cards you see in search results with cooking times and ratings? Gone. And here's the kicker. Their traffic dropped from 100,000 monthly clicks to just 40,000. That's a 60% decrease from one technical mistake.
That's huge. What other major mistakes should people be watching out for?
Well, the second biggest issue is what I call the invisible content trap. Sites will include these perfect 5-star ratings in their schema code, but if you actually visit the page, poof, those ratings are nowhere to be found.
So, they're essentially trying to game the system?
That's exactly what Google thinks. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes site owners don't even realize they're doing it. They'll have an automated schema generator pulling old data, but they've since redesigned their site and forgotten to display the actual content.
How does Google respond when they catch this kind of discrepancy?
They bring down the hammer pretty hard. Best case, they just ignore your rich snippets. Worst case, you're looking at a manual penalty that can take months to recover from. I've seen sites have to go through multiple rounds of reconsideration requests just to get back in Google's good graces.
That sounds like a nightmare for businesses. What about these required fields I keep hearing about?
Oh yeah, this is mistake number 3, and it's like trying to mail a letter without an address. Every schema type has mandatory fields that people just forget. For product schema, you need a name and price. For article schema, you need a headline.
So, how do you keep track of all these requirements without going crazy?
The rich results test is your best friend here. But let me tell you about mistake number 4, because this one is super sneaky. It's about using outdated schema formats. Like some sites are still using URL formats from 5 years ago.
That seems like something that could easily slip through the cracks during updates.
Exactly. And here's a real example. I worked with a site that had been copy-pasting the same schema code for years. They were still using schema.org instead of https://schema.org, and it was causing validation errors across thousands of pages.
Well, that's quite the technical debt to deal with. What's the impact of fixing these issues?
The results can be dramatic. I worked with an e-commerce site that fixed their nested product schema issues, and their click-through rate jumped from 2% to 5.6% in just 9 days. That's thousands of additional visitors they were missing out on.
Those numbers are incredible. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Start small, but start today. Pick your most important page and run it through the schema markup validator. Make sure everything in your schema is visible on the page, your types are correct, and your nesting makes sense. You know what's amazing? These aren't complex algorithm changes we're fighting against. These are completely fixable issues within our control.
That's such actionable advice. It's fascinating how these seemingly small technical details can have such a massive impact on visibility and traffic.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Sometimes the biggest wins come from fixing the basics. You don't need to chase every algorithm update when you've got these fundamental issues holding you back.